Hello, I'm Tammy Davis, and thanks for joining me today. I thought I would kind of go over a little bit, talk about sleep. And then while I'm sitting here thinking of this, I'm also going to throw some fatigue in there. And you may be thinking, well, if you don't sleep, you're going to be tired. But that's not always the case. Sometimes lack of sleep makes us over-energized. So the two are actually different, and at the same time, the underlying reasons can be very similar. So that said, the reason I'm bringing this up is that I was actually in a conversation with a client of mine the other day that was concerned about her granddaughter, her 8-year-old granddaughter, who is starting to put on weight and is not sleeping. But then after we got to talking, she wanted to know what I would do for her. But the fact is that after we got to talking and I started kind of going over the things that their parents are giving these children in the way of supplements, it seemed to me that the reason why this little girl is no longer sleeping is not because she's emotionally distressed because mom just had a baby, not because she's an unhappy little girl. It's because her body is taxed to the max. The types of supplements that they have these kids on are rather intense. If that's the right word. I don't know if that's the right word, but let me just say it this way. There's an awful lot of nutrients that's been added and mixed together. But the challenge that I have with this, honestly, are the emulsifiers, the delivery technology that's being introduced to these supplements. And whether you know it or not, a lot of our supplements, and in fact, even skincare products, contain these delivery technology, also known as nanotechnology, in them. Years ago, I used to represent a direct marketing company, and they prided themselves on their nanotechnology. And that was, like I said, that was years ago. And I wasn't really crazy about it then, and I'm certainly not crazy about it now, especially when you're including essential oils into your life. Here again, this is where, I kind of rub up against the norm because we're used to doing so much. And if some is good, more is better, right? Well, the fact is that the more you actually do, the more you overwhelm the system. And when it comes to sleep, you could be really disrupting your sleep cycle. Not too long ago, I was asked to work with somebody who was dealing with narcolepsy. And, nobody really knows. Narcolepsy, really, what is this? This is something that they're really only kind of digging into. Yet when I was kind of fooling around and exploring different avenues with regards to the sleep cycle, I ran across a recent hormone, or I should say not a recent hormone, but some recent research that uncovered a fairly new hormone over the last couple of years that is directly related to the sleep cycle. And believe it or not, guys, that has nothing to do with melatonin. So when I say we want to regulate the sleep cycle, we really need to work on balancing the hormonal system. And the more we consistently target very specific glands along the endocrine system, the more we're actually creating an imbalance. So helping to restore balance to the hormonal system is absolutely necessary. But that said, if you're taking a lot of supplementation and or medications, I want you just to keep in mind that these formulas are designed to target the body. They're targeting very specific things. Like I said, these supplements have emulsifiers in them. We've talked about this before. If you haven't heard the other videos, they are in a good number of supplements, and there can be listed as emulsifiers. And like I said, directly on the label, it will tell you delivery technology. So there's a couple of different ways that you can look into this. So that's one way of targeting it. What those emulsifiers and delivery technology are doing is they're hastening the uptake of these nutrients. But what that means is now your cells are being flooded, and we already recognize that genetic receptors will shut themselves off when given too much information. So you could be overdoing it and then just taxing the system, like I said, and taxing the system is the same thing as stressing the system, because every chemical can be considered a messenger of some sort. So you're sending a message to redirect energy. That's all you're doing, redirecting energy. And in this case, it's keeping you awake and or being disruptive during the night. So backing off, number one. One way to do that, I'm not saying eliminate these things altogether, okay? Our pharmaceutical industry has established a precedent for taking medications on a regular basis. So we hand you a prescription and we say, okay, take this 3 times a day, take it with meals, you know the runaround with all of that, okay? So there you have it. There's a good reason for that, okay? It's the way the medications are designed. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. There's a reason for it. But we've done the same thing with our vitamins and our minerals and every other nutritional supplement out there. If you look at the labels, it tells you how many servings and typically how many to take a day and when to take it. Okay, so we've created a supplement world that is operating very much like a medical world. And we've become so ingrained in taking our supplements on a regular basis. And then I know people who are stockpiling. And what I mean by that is they take a lot. I mean, I just had someone contact me the other day, takes 50 different supplements, and that doesn't even include medication. I don't know how anybody could want to eat a meal with taking 50 supplements a day. It's just boggling my mind. But nevertheless, I mean, we've got people that are doing this. And if I tell them to stop taking these supplements, and just maybe take them a couple of times a week, it just shocks them because, I mean, how could I possibly suggest something like that? But let me tell you, when they do it, they feel a whole lot better because they're giving their body a break. Even with essential oils, if someone is using essential oils and they have an upset, a disturbance in the system. And, you never can tell truthfully what it is, okay? But if there's a disturbance in the system and I've issued the oils, then I will suggest that they stop with the oils. It's not my place to tell them to stop taking medications, but I can suggest that they back down on their supplementation and especially stop with the oils, because here's the thing, guys. As I mentioned earlier, taking a lot of supplements and including essential oils in your regime is going to even hasten this. It's going to be rapid fire, okay? Because essential oils, again, all chemicals are signaling molecules at some level. This includes essential oils, and I don't really care any longer about who hears this and who doesn't and gets upset, because I've had naturopaths tell me that, and I've even worked in those offices where essential oils don't modify genetic expression. I beg to differ. This is how they're designing a lot of medications. So that said, your essential oils are also signaling molecules, and they will adjust the way nutrients are being assimilated into the cells. So if you're taking supplements with delivery technology added to it or emulsifiers, and you're using essential oils, and you're getting a disruption to your system, please be advised that you're doing too much. And at the very least, stop your oils and allow your body to flush, okay? Back off your supplementation. Maybe do one a week, or a couple of times a week. I don't know. I mean, it really depends. I mean, knowing what you're doing would be my way of being able to guide you. And so that said, begin to pay attention to what your system is doing. It's okay to give your system a break. Okay, if you're taking medications, stick with your meds. If you're doing supplementation and oils and herbs, it's okay to take a break. It really is. You still have all the things there. It's not like you're going to go without. You can just stop and give your system a chance to reset itself. And again, too much will cause a disruption in your sleep. I mean, a good example is alcohol. When someone drinks a lot of alcohol to excess, we know that we pretty much know how that's going to go. They're going to pass out, okay? So they pass out for a few hours, and then all of a sudden they wake right back up. Do you know why that is? Because alcohol affects the GABA receptors, and it activates the GABA receptors. And so what that means is the GABA receptors are the self-soothing, the relaxing, the kind of, just the relaxed feeling that we get when we have a glass of wine or something, okay? So that's what it does. It's activating that GABA receptor. That said, too much alcohol and you flood the GABA receptors, you pass out because you're just over-relaxed. But see, once you stop drinking, that doesn't mean that the alcohol stops circulating. The alcohol remains in your system. So the GABA receptors are consistently being activated. They're constantly on. They can only take so much, guys. So what does the GABA receptor do? It shuts itself off. As soon as it shuts itself off, guess what happens? You wake up. So consider that what you're doing and the reason why you're not sleeping could very well be that you're doing too much and you're causing a complete disruption in your neurochemistry. And that's the reason why you're either not being able to fall asleep or you're waking up in the middle of the night. On the note of fatigue, the reason why you would be fatigued could very well be a hormonal system. It could also be, an imbalance in the hormonal system. And I'm not going to lie to you. Essentially, we're all living with hormonal imbalances because of the environment, because of the world we live in. Okay, so that card on the table, fatigue can come from a number of different things. It could be the fact that you're just flat out tired, okay, because you aren't sleeping. There is that factor. There is also the release of iron. Iron is regulated by the immune system and hormonal system. So if those two systems are out of whack, you're going to have iron issues. You're going to have low iron. You're going to have an instability there, and you're going to be dealing with fatigue. All right, so this is a very important piece to remember. And as well as if you are chronically stressed or living with a hormonal imbalance, just say it that way. A hormonal imbalance is indicative the system is stressed. Whether you're emotionally and mentally distraught or not, it doesn't make any difference. You could be in Ohm land, but if you're still dealing with the environment and you're not addressing the cellular stress, your system has been reorganized to deal with what's being attacked, okay? And that's the system is being attacked. That's how it's registering. The body cannot distinguish the difference between emotional distress and environmental distress. Whatever is causing distress to the system will redirect the energy of the system. It will alter our chemistry in such a way that the digestive system begins to diminish its effectiveness, because truthfully, if our lives are at stake, whether we are in the hospital due to chronic illness or we are running for our lives, you're not thinking about eating a really big meal, okay? So the digestive system includes the use of nutrients at the cell level. Therefore, if your system is redirected, the energy, the chemistry is altered, you're no longer breaking these molecules down, these particles down, these foods down. Therefore, you have larger particles in the system that the body doesn't recognize, and it will now continue to create this vicious cycle. What's worse is that the body is not getting the nutrition it needs. It doesn't make any difference what size your body is. It really doesn't. If you're hungry, it's a sign, obviously we have to eat our meals. It's if you're hungry, you're hungry, okay? I realize there's a lot of people out there who think, who've said a lot about, being satisfied with your meals or eating in between and feeling dissatisfied. And, there's a lot of schools of thought, but when we break it down, it comes down to hormonal balance, okay? Because hormones regulate the appetite, hormones regulate fat release, hormones, suppress our appetite. They are also, they're needed for everything. And again, like I said, there's one that they've only recently discovered that is related directly to whether or not we go into a non-REM phase, which is your really deep sleep, before you go into the REM state. So if that hormone isn't activating properly, you never feel like you're rested. Your mind's constantly racing. You're constantly in that REM state. You're not going into the deep state. When it comes to fatigue, like I said, if the cells are hungry, your body's going to signal that you're hungry, okay? So hormones activate the hunger and the appetite. They also tell us when we've had enough. But if the cells are hungry and the glucose isn't being utilized, you're going to feel tired. Okay, so it's not just about being hungry, you're going to feel tired, and this is the reason why people will eat for energy. So I guess what I'm doing is sitting here telling you that there is nothing to feel bad about, that this is your system basically saying, I need help, I'm out of balance. And what there are steps that you can do to begin to restore balance. And again, that begins with working with the digestive system. I realize that we can get very specific because there's a whole host of health conditions out there, but I just want to remind you that just because they have the same name doesn't mean it's the same illness in everyone. Okay, so to answer a very specific question, I need to be able to know you better, and I'm more than happy to help you. And if you've watched any of my other videos, I've encouraged you to contact me directly at my email, visit my website, but at this point, I'm going to say, join my Patreon community, okay? That's really what I'm going to say, because at that level, for as little as $3 a month, you can get information that might actually answer the questions you're looking for. And so I will keep that link. I will put that link here in the description box, and I welcome your questions. But just know, in order to begin to reset the body, do a full system reset, you really want to work with the digestive system. Now, how that relates to you really depends on what's going on with you. But I will tell you straight up, the digestive enzymes would be the beginning. Probiotics are also very good, as we know, but what your system is doing is really going to determine the next step for you. Beyond that, it is a full system reset on the hormonal system, as well as stabilizing, not suppressing and not stimulating the immune system, but stabilizing it. And there's ways to do that too. And again, there are specific oils that you might be able to use. How that works for you depends. That's information that you could get on my Patreon community, because I'm going to begin releasing Patreon exclusive videos on oils. I'm going to do I don't know, however many oils that I can talk about. I'm going to do one video per oil. So that means this is basically an aromatherapy course that's being launched, and but it's talking about oils at a whole nother level that will not be found in books at this point until I complete mine. So on that note, again, you can use oils to stabilize that don't necessarily direct any chemical, any specific neurochemical. But then again, there are oils that are good for specific neurochemicals depending on your system. So I've said enough for today. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are. And I look forward to interacting with you at some point further. And check out the Patreon page and let me know. You might like it, because between the patron only feed as well as a private Facebook group, there's an opportunity there to really reset your system. So thanks for watching, and I will talk with you later. Bye.